Jim Montgomery, do you realize that you're part of history today?
I do. Tremendous honor to be one of the guests on your first ever show. I really know. I'm seriously, I appreciate it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a big opportunity for you to reach a wider audience than you're used to.
That's right.
You know,
right.
hockey is a distant fourth in the major sports.
Oh, wow.
Jim Montgomery. So this is a mainstream audience. This is an opportunity for you to really get some endorsements.
Well, you know what? I really appreciate your honesty that you're not a front runner.
Right.
I obviously this my friend we had the likes of who was the defenseman we had on back in the day that was terrible on the air with us? Andrew Albert. We go back to the Andrew Albert days.
Right.
But before that, before we started making friends with the team. Well, Jim Montgomery, congratulations on the recent success.
Well, thank you. It's we've had some trials and tribulations, but we got some really good leaders on our team, and we got really competitive players. So we've righted the ship, and hopefully we can continue that.
All right, let's talk about the leadership. There was a lot made of Brad Marchand. I talked to you before the season. I don't know if you recall, but I was there before the season. We talked about Marchand getting the captain, and there was some controversy to that. I'm not quite sure why. I don't know who the hell you were going to give it to. But, I mean, he's been around. He's a successful guy. But, by all accounts, this has been going well. Can you describe him as a leader and how has he changed? What does he bring as a captain?
Well, what he brings is professionalism, dedication, intensity, and emotion. What you see on the ice is what you see, what you get in the dressing, what you get on the bench. And I think, being a captain of the Boston Bruins, there's a lot of pressure that comes with it. There's time demands that even if you're aware of it, you've watched your best friend, Patrice Bergeron, do it, and you watched Zdeno Chara do it, until it's you always responding to the media and having to deal with teammates and having to bring teammates up or hold them accountable, you don't realize how much, when you're just used to getting yourself ready, how much more it adds to you. But I think Brad has really found his voice here over the last month, and he's really comfortable talking to players in any elevated voice or just putting an arm around a guy, and I think he's just really coming into his own as captain of the Boston Bruins.
Well, unlike my co-host, I think it was an inspired choice because I think you could have gone in a couple different directions, but I've always been a Marchand fan, and I think it kind of speaks to the way his game has evolved over the last several seasons, and maybe the way the league has changed a little bit too. You a different type of leadership voice from a guy who has changed his ways a little bit as a player, turned into a prolific goal scorer and a truly offensive threat, and not just the guy who was good but also as much known for being a pest. He's much more than that now, and I think he can reach guys in different ways.
I agree. And I think if anybody embodies the passionate fan base of the Boston Bruins, it's Brad Marchand. I mean, he has the underdog mentality. He's never going to stop fighting. And if he has to break your leg to win, he's going to do it.
All right, so here we are, and you put Patra, you let him play in the juniors, where Hardy were at lunch when this was going on. They had great success.
Oh, yeah.
So what is the plan for Patra now? Can you kind of explain your decision making with him?
Yeah, well, I think we all thought that going to the World Juniors would be a great experience for him, and we haven't seen him yet. I think he's going to be back today. And we'll be able to discuss, how that went for him and how great of experience it was, because it's a tremendous term. Anytime you get to represent your country, play in a world championship type event, it's going to be a good experience, whether you're learning from why it went wrong or why, the actual experience around the fan base, people cheering for their countries is special. And then now we're going to have to integrate him back into our team. He's a smart hockey player that's really competitive, that makes a lot of plays, and we're excited to have him back.
I'm wondering, you guys hit a rough patch right before Christmas, but you bounced back with 4 straight wins, and the guys that are leading you are not necessarily the Marchands and the Pasternaks. You're getting a lot of production from guys like Shattenkirk and James Van Riemsdyk. Sometimes when teams sign guys that are in their mid-30s, it can go the other direction. How do you explain the contributions you're getting from those guys?
Well, I think those two in particular, really smart players, and really smart players usually figure things out and get better as they get accustomed to being in a place. And I think both of them, in their mid-30s have had a lot of success in the league for years. And we play a little bit of a different system. And the demands of being a Boston Bruin and the expectations of being really good every day, I think the culture here speaks for itself, and it's getting used to that. Both of them had come from situations where their teams had not made the playoffs in 3 or 4 years, and now they're part of a winning culture. And I think it took them a while on the ice and off the ice to get comfortable in their surroundings, because it's a new situation for them and their families, and I think now they're flourishing.
The goaltending situation you have, and you have legitimately alternated goaltenders, the last 10, 20 games. Jeremy Swayman's numbers are off the charts this season so far. Has there been a temptation to maybe start him 2-3 games in a row and see how he reacts to that?
Well, I think with both of them have been fantastic. We sit in first place in our division because of those two primarily. If there's a third reason, it's the incredible season David Pasternak's having. And then it's our advantage over everybody in the league is we can roll out an all-star goalie every night. And that gives us a chance to win games where sometimes we probably shouldn't have even been in games, and they allow us to get points.
I got to wonder now, Jim, and it's obviously way early to have this conversation, but you just said you've alternated every night. Ullmark's been back-to-back, I think, twice this season. Maybe Swayman has once. If this is the model and this is how this team's foundation is built, will you keep this going in the postseason?
Yes. I mean, there's no reason. And I think, you got to learn from the past, too. And, I think last year I made a mistake not doing that in the playoffs. And I think that we as an organization, we evaluate everything. And when you have two elite goaltenders and the demands of the playoffs are much more strenuous mentally than they are physically, because you're only playing every second day. It's not like the regular season. But the mental demands, they demand a lot. And if you can have a day off to get a breather, reset, refocus, and bring your A game again, I think it just behooves us to play to our strengths.
All right, what's going on with Mason Lohrei? What can you tell us about him?
He's a hockey player. He lost a tooth, tried to come back a little too quick, and I don't think the blood had stopped pumping through the lost tooth, and it got all over the jersey, but he came back and finished the third. And yesterday he was in the dentist chair, and today we expect him back on the ice.
What happened in that first period against Columbus the other night, Jim? Because no offense, but PU. I mean, I think half the hockey watching audience may have sworn off the game, not just from you guys, but Columbus too. What was going on? What was that first period? The New Year's hangover for everybody? Yikes.
Yeah, I guess everyone thought they were still in 2023, but you are right. It was ugly.
What are you thinking?
What did you say?
When you know you're standing up in front of everyone. What are you thinking while that's all going on?
What'd you say in the room in that first intermission?
Do better, damn it.
Well, you try and focus on habits and details to get us. I did expect us to get better throughout the game because we had the day off the day before. And that's what's happened. We started winning more face-offs. We started owning the net front more, and we got to our forecheck, which got us a couple of goals.
Yeah, the power play improved. Everything improved after that first period. But it's really nice to see, as John mentioned earlier, the stretch of games leading into Christmas, how you guys have responded and come out since then. It's just been really good to see. So congrats again on the recent success.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And I really appreciate you guys having me on the show. And good luck as you guys start your journey together.
Yeah, we'll need it. All right, Jim Montgomery, coach of your Boston Bruins. Thank you so much for the time, sir.
Cheers.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.